All right, guys. Coach Elliott and I were talking on Friday night about some discrepancies in the box squat technique. And so I wanted to just do my own video to hopefully try to clarify what I'm looking for and kind of my thought process behind cueing and coaching the box squat, so that we can all kind of be on the same page, because there's a large spectrum as far as different ways to teach it, different definitions, etc. So I just wanted to kind of be very specific about what I'm looking for when we do box squats. In addition to this video, it might not be a bad idea to maybe schedule we'll call it a seminar, but we get all the coaches and we just basically workshop it together in person, rather than maybe there's a great likelihood that this video or my messaging might still leave some question marks. So if that sounds like an interesting thing, we could schedule that for this week, just so we're all on the same page when it comes to box squat. So I'm just gonna kind of like spitball this thing, and hopefully we get some value from it. So a lot of times with box squat, people will use a box and they'll tap and stand, right? In my, I guess my belief system for box squat, that's squatting to a box, which is different than box squatting, right? This is not a depth gauge that's letting us know when to turn things right back around, right? The purpose of box squatting, as I see it, is to more or less break the eccentric and the concentric phases of the lift into two separate sections, divided by a pause, where we have to then build our momentum and power production from a dead stop, right? That can become tricky for folks to understand, and sometimes they will either do, typically it's two things, either they will tap and go, or they're gonna sit, rock, and then drive out of it, right? In both of those cases, there wasn't a dead stop and a clean restart. In the tap and go, we were staying tense and tight the entire time, so there's no real break, okay? We basically just got the message of, okay, I hit my depth and now I'm going back up. In the second example of the pause, rock, and roll, that rock and roll is generating additional momentum that then makes my life easier as the squatter, and that's obviously not what we're looking for, okay? So the sweet spot, again, by my definition, is that we sit, there's a definitive pause, there's no rock, and then we drive right back up, okay? Now, hopefully that's clear. So there's kind of three different ways to go about it. We're going for that Goldilocks zone of, yes, you're sitting, no, you're not rocking, and no, you're not tapping and going, okay? So hopefully that's clear. Secondly, the video that I've shared of Donnie Thompson talking about box squatting, he talks about keeping the squat stance the same in the back squat and the box squat, so that those things directly transfer. And then when you see him squat, he's in this really wide stance, right? He's back here. That's because he's a power lifter, right? He takes a super wide stance. That is his normal back squat stance. So in the case of that video, he's doing exactly what he says to do. However, because we're not power lifters, most of us are probably gonna have a closer back squat stance in relation to a proper box squat stance, okay? So, to clarify, the messaging from Donnie Thompson is correct, but that's because he's already in a wide position. So for our purposes, I would say it is advantageous to take a slightly wider stance than the back squat stance that they would usually use, right? So, for example, this is probably my back squat stance, right? And I can perform a box squat to this, but if from the side view, you'll see that because my stance is a little more narrow, my knees are kind of jutting out in front of my toes, which isn't necessarily wrong when it comes, well, let me clarify, which is not wrong when it comes to back squatting, because we have to find this balanced position. But when we do box squatting, ideally, we're sitting back here with a more vertical shin. And the reason for that is it's going to recruit the posterior chain and the hips more potently than if we are here. This is quad still, and this is recruiting more posterior chain. Okay? So, let's kind of rewind a little bit. So if this is my back squat stance, and that tends to lead to a quad dominant box squat, where my knees are pushing forward, I'm missing out on the posterior chain bias, right? So in my case, I actually take my stance out past shoulder width, and this actually allows me to really torque through the floor, open the knees up, and now I'm backing down in this nice strong position that ultimately feels better too when we're talking about box squatting. Okay, so this is my wide box squat stance. I'm sitting back and down, really emphasizing knees out, seated, and then drive. Okay, and I'll do another one. Reach back, sit with my shin angle, vertical, knees are out, and then I drive. Okay, but what you're not seeing is all of that stuff, and then a rock, and then drive. Okay, so again, it is a pause, and here's the other thing that I like to use as my cue. So I'm going to keep my posture, right? In this position, currently, I have weight in my left foot, I have weight in my right foot, and I have weight in my butt. I'm sitting on the box. So I have 3 points of contact. If I were to sit fully into my hips to the point where I can flutter my feet around, I'm now going to utilize that momentum, okay? It's guaranteed. There's going to be a pendulum action or a momentum build, right? So when I sit on the box, I need to be able to feel that the box is supporting me, but I also keep my feet pinned the entire time, right? So it's down, sit, drive. And at no point was I able to pick my feet up, and I was also weight bearing, or the box was weight bearing, okay? So hopefully that's helping clarify a couple things. But if you're seeing people with their knees sitting too far forward, chances are they need to take the stance out a little bit wider and emphasize driving knees out so that we can get back into this position where our shins are vertical, right? On the flip side, we don't need to be doing anything that's way too far back here where we're falling down onto the box. We want to be able to control the negative phase, sit nice and soft, kill all the momentum, but staying active, and then drive right back up, okay? So, I'm going to leave it at that. Hopefully that clarifies basically what I'm looking for when we talk about box squatting, and kind of check some boxes, gives you some tools to more or less help your athletes understand what we're going for with the box squat. And largely speaking, the box squat, as I see it, is an accessory movement to the back squat. So when we box squat, we are trying to bias the posterior chain so that when we get to our back squat, we have more horsepower back here to then assist the quads that are also incorporated in the back squat. So it's basically just specifically working on getting those posterior chain muscles to kind of keep up with the anterior demand, right, of a back squat. So hopefully this all kind of helps out clarifying what we're looking for in the box squat here at TCS, some ways that you can communicate and cue the movement, maybe help you look for certain movement faults, and then the fixes for those. But again, if the video still leaves some question marks, I think it would be useful for us to all meet, all the TCS coaches meet for 30, 45 minutes and just like workshop this thing until we're all on the same page. And this isn't necessarily to say that my way is the only way. I just want to make sure that we are all clear about, I guess, my definition of it and what I'm looking for when I'm programming this stuff, so that we can kind of fit it in to the overall grand scheme of things as we help people build strength. All right? So let me know, and hopefully you found this video somewhat helpful. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. Thanks, guys.